Now, there's been a lot of discussion about this new partnership, or not so much new, but a formidable partnership that has been forged between Trump and Netanyahu. And Professor of American Politics at the University of Melbourne, Timothy Lynch, has written about it. And he says the pair actually have much in common with Thatcher and Reagan. And Tim Lynch joins me now. Thank you very much for your time. So tell me about why you think Trump and Netanyahu are forming a similarly strong partnership, and how significant is it in our age?
Great to be here, Sharri. I think even though Trump is regarded as something of an amoralist, somebody that's taken positions against the more moral positions of someone like George W. Bush, what brings him together with Bibi Netanyahu is a very clear notion of right and wrong, of good and evil, and perhaps more than that. And this puts them both in the Thatcher-Reagan mold, a willingness to deploy hard military power to shift that balance. Now, I'm not saying it's a perfect historical analogy, but one of the most successful features of the relationship between those two leaders in the 1980s was the end of the Soviet Union, a remarkable political geostrategic feat that nobody in 1988 saw coming. And that victory was won by taking some fairly simple maxims that capitalism works, democracy is good and popular, and that their opposites, communism in the Soviet Union, don't. And a willingness to actually deploy military force, first in the Falklands, where Thatcher was instrumental in bringing down a fascist regime, and in Reagan's initial, certainly in his first term, containment of communism, it weakened those regimes in a way that all the sophisticated approaches of political scientists and leftist philosophers didn't do. And I think Trump and Netanyahu are recycling that simple approach to world affairs.
A return to the values that underpin our Western civilization, if you like, which have become so confused in recent times. I've even heard some commentators compare Trump's move to strike Iran's nuclear sites with this famous moment.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Tim, do you think there are similarities here with the significance of the statements?
Yes, I think Reagan, it's the great force of light, the great ringing endorsement, I think, of America's Cold War strategy, tear down this wall. And it was given in Berlin in the face of all sorts of opposition from American diplomats and his advisors. But Reagan took the decision to paint the conflict in moral terms, in black and white terms. And I think Trump, even though he's tempted away from this moral approach to global affairs, is also a bit of a sucker for it. I don't think he's a great student of history, but he would recognize the great communicator in Ronald Reagan. He styles himself, of course, as a man that's mastered the medium of television. He knows how to look strong in front of a camera. Look at how he reacted to the attempted assassination in Pennsylvania last summer, northern summer. He's got a theatrical style, which I think his opponents, certainly in the United States, haven't given him enough credit for. Politics and war is about theatre. If you want another example, and it's not Thatcher, look at Winston Churchill. He understood that war is a populist activity. It's about geeing up the troops and the people. And Trump seems to have a bit of a knack when it comes to this. The great internationalists like Barack Obama and Joe Biden got terribly confused and ended up, skedaddling from conflict, speaking the language of diplomacy and negotiation, and had much less impact on the bad guys than Donald Trump with his gut instinct and very televisual understanding of diplomacy.